Donald Trump just threw Pete Hegseth under the bus as the Iran war spiral begins, and the fallout is already a political dumpster fire. Trump's own team is scrambling, his story's falling apart, and even MAGA loyalists are starting to panic. But the biggest twist, the very people who once defended him are now being humiliated by Trump himself. But before we come to that, it all starts with a very interesting warning.
Look, America was lied into a war in 2002 against Iraq with a Republican administration giving us false information about Iraq's weapons program. I have grave concern that we're going down the same path. Donald Trump's own national security officials have stated that Iran was not close to having a nuclear weapon. And Shannon, just Friday night, the Israeli foreign minister said that its bombing campaign over the last 9 days had set back the Iranian nuclear program by at least 2 or 3 years. There was no imminent threat to the United States from this nuclear program. It was an offensive war of choice by a president without consultation with Congress. We're going to have the briefing this week. We'll have a vote. I know many Republicans will fall in line and say a president can do whatever he wants, but I hope members of the Senate and the House will take their Article I responsibility seriously and say, you didn't even notify us, much less get an authorization. The U.S. should not be at war without a vote of Congress.
And there it is. The ghost of Iraq 2.0 is knocking. And guess who's playing war games again? Donald J. I don't need permission Trump. This wasn't defense. This wasn't strategy. This was a solo act by a man who thinks the Constitution is just optional bedtime reading. And the reason he didn't ask Congress, spoiler alert, it's not urgency. It's not protecting America. It's that he's got nothing to back it up. No intel. No imminent threat, no allies, just a bruised ego and a Wi-Fi connection. Meanwhile, Pete Hegseth and JD Vance are out here doing MAGA karaoke, singing about national security while Donald is behind them lighting fireworks in the war room. Let's be honest, he acted like a discount dictator because he knows Congress would have laughed him out of the building if he asked for war powers. And just when you think it couldn't get dumber, it does. Because this morning, Trump posted something very stupid. But before we get to that, listen to this BS.
My first question, Mr. Vice President, is the United States now at war with Iran?
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And let me just say, Kristen, that we're incredibly grateful and proud of the American Air Force pilots who did an incredible job last night. The operation was really extraordinary. These guys flew from Missouri. They didn't land a single time. They dropped 30,000-pound bombs on a target the size of a washing machine and then got back home safely without ever landing in the Middle East or ever stopping other than to briefly refuel. And of course, they did that in the air. So it's really an incredible operation, a testament to the power of American military. And I think what shows what can happen when you have that great American military in the hands of capable presidential leadership. What we did is we destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. I think we set that program back substantially, and we did it without endangering the lives of the American pilots. That's an incredible thing, and I think we all should be proud. Whatever our politics, we should be proud of what these guys accomplished. A very, very high impact mission under a lot of pressure.
So apparently, according to JD Vance, we're not at war with Iran. We're just dropping 30,000-pound bombs on them. Totally normal, like calling it a spa day while setting the building on fire. And let's not skip the part where he praises Trump's capable leadership. You know, the same leadership that once suggested nuking hurricanes. Truly inspiring stuff. Also, why does every MAGA guy talk about missiles like they're describing a new pickup truck? But just when JD finished his Top Gun fantasy speech, a reporter brought Pete Hegseth on. And let's just say, things got awkward.
Me? Yeah. So, is regime change off the table, Mr. Secretary? And to the chairman, you said the battle damage assessment is still ongoing. But do you believe that some nuclear capability in Iran remains?
This mission was not and has not been about regime change. The president authorized a precision operation to neutralize the threats to our national interests posed by the Iranian nuclear program and the collective self-defense of our troops and our ally Israel.
So here's the story they're trying to sell us. JD Vance assures us this was just a quick hit. In and out, no escalation, nothing to see here. Pete Hegseth, he's giving us the bedtime version. No regime change, pinky promise. Trump's not interested in toppling governments. He just wants to neutralize threats with, 30,000-pound bombs. But then, Donald Trump does what Donald Trump always does. He opens his mouth, or more accurately, his Truth Social app, and throws the entire PR spin into a MAGA dumpster fire. What he just posted is absolutely unbelievable.
Donald Trump wrote on Truth Social, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? Make Iran great again." Trump also followed that up with this misspelled nonsense. "The great B-2 pilots just landed safely in Missouri. Thank you for a job well done. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States?"
This man cannot even spell his own fake title, and somehow he's in charge of military strikes. Trump just casually suggested regime change, like he's naming a new reality show, and then signed off with Don J. Trump, President of the United States, like he's LARPing as Commander-in-Chief on Truth Social. Spoiler, he's not. Meanwhile, Pete Hegseth is on TV spinning this whole thing as a clean, calculated military success. Yeah, sure. The only thing calculated here is how many international laws Trump just shredded for a few poll points. It's reckless, it's unconstitutional, and it's dangerous. And now, even the MAGA all-stars, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, are dragging him. Not because they care about the law, but because Trump broke the one promise they actually liked. No new wars. They're fuming. But Adam Schiff, he's laser focused on Trump lies. And in this next clip, he spells it out.
It is very possible, and I think we have to anticipate, Iran now kicks out any inspectors, it leaves the non-proliferation treaty, and if it wasn't in a sprint for a bomb, it is now going to engage in a sprint for the bomb. So a lot of uncertainty. Finally, this was not constitutional, was not lawful in the absence of a declaration by Congress, and so the administration should have come to Congress. We will have a vote on a war powers resolution. But there's a reason to bring this to Congress, and it is you want the Congress bought in, you want the American people bought in on an action this substantial that could lead to a major outbreak of war.
Adam Schiff just dropped what everyone should be screaming right now. This was unconstitutional, illegal, and potentially catastrophic. Not only did Trump bypass Congress like it was just some annoying pop-up window, but he may have also just handed Iran the perfect excuse to sprint full speed toward a nuclear bomb. The inspections? Gone. The diplomacy? Burned. The consequences? Potentially global. And Schiff makes a crucial point. It's not just about legality, it's about accountability. If you're dragging an entire country toward war, maybe ask the country first. And now, the real question is the world safer today, or way more dangerous?
So, just to put a finer point on it, do you think the world is less safe this morning than it was yesterday?
I don't think, to be honest, Casey, there's any way for us to know. Anyone who says they can see into the future and what the Iranian response will be, whether it will claim American lives, or whether there will be some change in the Iranian regime or new opening, a new opportunity, we simply don't know. We simply don't know. And I think because of that uncertainty, you don't want to take an action like this without a strong basis, that is, that Iran was imminently pursuing a bomb. And we simply don't have that intelligence, or if we do, it hasn't been shared with the Congress. And that last question asked of Hegseth at the press conference indicates he doesn't know either. He was asked, do we have some new intelligence? Is it our own intelligence? Or are we relying on Israeli intelligence for the conclusion that we had to take this strike now? And he simply said, well, the president looked at everything. That's really not an answer, but we will demand answers this week when we're briefed. In the absence of it, though, and not knowing what the future will bring and the consequences, this is an order that should not have been given.
Adam Schiff just said what every sane person is thinking. This strike wasn't based on solid intel. It was based on vibes and Trump's gut, which, let's be honest, has a very poor track record. There's no confirmed imminent threat, no evidence shared with Congress, not even a clear source of intelligence, unless Israeli whispers now count as official US policy. And when asked for details, Trump's defense team basically shrugged and said, well, he looked at everything. Seriously? That's not not a justification. That's a horoscope. This wasn't strategy. This was a reckless, high-risk gamble. Now the only real question is, does this warrant impeachment again?
So speaking of the constitutionality, legality of this, the reality, of course, Congress currently controlled by Republicans entirely. One of your congressional colleagues, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, wrote on the platform X last night that what the president did is, quote, absolutely and clearly grounds for impeachment. Given the limited tools available to Democrats in Congress, do you think impeachment is the right move here?
We've seen what a high bar there is to impeachment when one party in Congress, the Republican Party, is willing to work completely in lockstep with the president. I think the better remedy, frankly, is if Republicans will show any backbone whatsoever, is to pass a war powers resolution to prevent any further military action that is not purely defensive, that is designed to protect service members' lives, American lives, and our interests. That, to me, ought to be the most immediate step.
Adam Schiff is basically spelling it out. Impeachment sounds nice, but good luck getting spineless Republicans to hold Trump accountable, even when he's lobbing bombs without permission like it's a game of Risk. AOC's already called it what it is, clearly grounds for impeachment. But Schiff's being strategic, calling for a war powers resolution to at least stop Trump from pulling another reckless stunt without consequences. Because right now, Congress is watching from the sidelines while Trump plays dictator. The GOP won't rein him in unless they grow a spine overnight, and here it comes. The core scandal, the big illegality, is finally being exposed.
Senator, we of course have learned that Democrats on the Gang of Eight, that key group of top intelligence leaders in Congress, were not briefed ahead of these strikes while Republicans were. What is the significance of the failure to brief Democratic lawmakers?
Well, the failure to brief Democratic lawmakers, the making this just another partisan exercise by the administration when it comes to something as serious as the decision to potentially engage in warfare with another nation, it means that you're not going to have the whole country bought into this, which is a real problem. If everything goes well, then maybe it works out fine in the sense of not being an issue that tears apart the American people. But if things don't go well, if Iran retaliates, if we get in a escalating war with Iran, and you don't have the country bought in because the president didn't seek the approval of Congress, because he didn't make the case to the American people, because he didn't even inform one of the parties in Congress, that's when you have a real problem engaging in warfare on a partisan basis. So a lot of risks here for the country, which, is the reason why you come to Congress in the first place. It's the reason why our Constitution says Congress has the power to declare war, not the president.
Adam Schiff just confirmed what should terrify every American. Trump launched military strikes and only told Republicans. Democrats on the Gang of Eight completely left in the dark. That's not just reckless, it's authoritarian cosplay. When you're dragging the US toward possible war with Iran, maybe don't treat it like a campaign rally for one party. This isn't Team Red versus Team Blue. It's about lives, law, and global stability. Trump didn't make his case to Congress. He didn't make his case to the American people. And if this spirals, it's all on him. And now, things get even murkier when you ask, what role is Israel actually playing in all of this?
Very briefly, sir, you mentioned the intelligence and what the president was using here. You have seen what our intelligence community is capable of. You also are aware of what some of our allies' capabilities are. Do you think the U.S. was relying on Israeli intelligence here? And if so, can we trust that intelligence?
Well, we're reading between the lines now because we haven't been briefed and won't be briefed until early this week. But judging from the evasive answers of the administration, judging from what the DNI said just a couple months ago, it certainly appears that the intelligence we have was that Iran had enriched uranium to a very high degree, was only days or maybe a week away from having the kind of material for multiple bombs. Made the decision to build a bomb, or was actually affirmatively building the mechanism, which takes time. So in the absence of that, you don't order a strike like this. You don't take the risk of a future that is beyond our visibility. So that's I think the flaw in this unilateral decision by the president to engage in this kind of warfare. I don't know what Israeli intelligence shows, and I don't know what sources they have and how reliable they are, but it doesn't appear that this was even the basis for that decision.
Adam Schiff just hit on something huge. This entire military strike may not have been based on our intelligence at all. Think about that. The United States possibly launched a major operation based on what? A vague whisper from a foreign ally. And when asked directly if Israeli intelligence was behind it, Schiff couldn't confirm anything because Congress hasn't even been briefed. They're being left to read between the lines like it's a political thriller, except this one comes with real bombs and global consequences. If Trump launched this attack based on shaky secondhand info, with no solid proof that Iran was actively building a bomb, then this wasn't a defensive strike. It was a political stunt with nuclear-level fallout potential. That's not leadership. That's gambling with world peace. If you want more breakdowns like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because in our next one, Trump's mess just got even deeper, and you're going to want to see it.